Okay.
It's on, right?
I think so. Okay, I'll double check. All right, this is Turning Red, take 1. Welcome back to HM and Big E Review Things. Today we are here to talk about Pixar's Turning Red. And you're wearing red. That's good.
Yeah.
And Canada. We're from Toronto, so and we're Chinese, and so
That's
this
right.
is I don't know. Is it more relevant or is it more identifiable?
Identifiable.
Like, yeah, it's
is a good
identifiable.
word,
Yeah, that we can see some of those things. But anyway, Turning Red. What do you think the movie was kind of trying to do? What was the main message it was trying to say, and did it accomplish it? This is the non-spoiler stuff.
I think the movie was a chance for an up-and-coming director to tackle something. She did Bao, and now she... And when I first heard of it, I thought it was kind of, wow, I never thought, number one, Toronto being a Pixar movie. Number two, a Chinese-Canadian family would be included in that. So I was really excited just to hear about this. I would never think that this would ever happen. Most Pixars are about something else. So I think that, if you're going to non-spoilers, the story is a coming-of-age story about a young lady who's trying to find out who she is. If you want to make it very simple.
And do you think it accomplished kind of telling a good story there?
Absolutely, I think it did.
Yeah.
I think overall this movie is a good return to form for Pixar, I think.
Yeah, looking back at the previous couple of Pixars, nothing really hit. This one's one of the highlights, I think so.
Definitely. And yeah, I think it's a solid movie from start to finish. There's a cohesive story. There's character development. A lot of moments you're going to remember. So overall, I would say it's very solid.
Yeah, I remember first seeing the trailer for it, and it looks very cute and,
Of course,
and that kind of stuff in the original teaser. And I showed it to my kids. I was like, oh, it's just like Hulk, right? And, he turns because in the beginning it was just kind of like about emotions, and it is kind of when she's feeling a lot of emotion, she turns into this. So I thought that's how I sold it to my kids, that it's the Hulk. And
another thing to note, I think, is there's a lot of nostalgia for someone of a certain age. If you grew up in Toronto, you recognize iconic landmarks. You recognize the look of it. You recognize, and if you grew up in an Asian family, a Chinese Canadian family, there's elements there that you can definitely, it hits home, it hits your heart, and I think it's a special movie because of that, because of our unique situation. It's definitely a special movie. So yeah.
And I know there's a lot of political discourse online, and I don't want to get into that too much, but I don't think you have to be of the same culture, gender to kind of identify and appreciate a good movie.
Yes, because I'm not a fish.
Right. And one of my favorites, I'm not a big blue monster.
Yeah. Right. Obviously, I don't know why that criticism is there for this movie.
It's a bit silly.
Because we've watched literally something from Snow White.
Yes.
Some weird princess in a castle, all the way down to Princess and the Frog, to whatever Disney comes up with, and I don't ever think that way. I think it's a story, and there are parts I identify with and parts I don't, and that's okay.
And does the character grow, and is there a cohesive arc in that? Okay, so let's jump right into potential spoilers. What did you like about the movie?
I liked a lot about this movie. I liked the fact that the setting. Toronto was a third character, if you want to call it. They featured a lot of Toronto, and it doesn't get featured enough. Toronto's usually used as a pseudo New York, poor man's New York, right? In a lot of shows, and Vancouver's becoming that way. And no, this is actually set in Toronto. I like the fact that Pixar took a risk by setting it in another country. It's not America. It's not the New York or LA. It's Toronto. So I like that. I
felt that being in Toronto, especially like a lot of the characters that were shown, just kind of pedestrians and different people, did really highlight the multicultural nature of Toronto. Like, I know it focuses mainly in Chinatown, I guess, and so most of the people were Chinese, but you did see some different cultures and different people that she encounters when she's a panda and running around. I thought that's really nice. Yeah, talking about the city.
I like Toronto. I like the fact that I think the characters are pretty endearing, and there was some growth in each character. I like that, and you, as a Canadian Chinese person, I think you can identify with a lot of the themes that are going on in this movie. I like the animation style. I think obviously the red panda is super cute, and when she's like, "I want to hug him and I'm going to explode." you it's a feeling inside your gun. You kind of want this hug this panda, And I just like the fact that they had a lot of, they have K-pop references and anime references where the eyes get big. And cutesy. And
actually, my wife says they captured the boy band, fever and that mania really, really well.
Right.
And it's part K-pop, part like Backstreet Boys, that kind of stuff. When we were back in the day, the boy band stuff. But they did that really, really. Yeah, the animation's great. I actually really like that. The Pixar's past couple have been. Soul. I think of Soul and Inside Out and that kind of stuff where it's more conceptual.
There's some misses in there, man. Like
there.
Luca and
I didn't watch Luca.
I didn't watch that either. But there's also few other ones that I really didn't like Soul, to be honest.
I did not like Soul all that much either. The last really good one that I really did like was Inside Out, and that's why I brought it up. And I think those are more kind of conceptual. They had a really creative idea. And this is kind of like a heightened fantasy type of thing, where it's a real world, but something mystical and magical happens. And I kind of like that they're kind of going back to that. Because even I think Coco was another one that's very recent. That's kind of like it was Coco. It was Pixar.
Is it Pixar? It's Disney. Pixar. They blend together.
Where there is that kind of real world element, but then once they go into the land of the dead, it's just
it seems similar to that type of movie,
right,
where it's about family and it's about some kind of fantastical element.
If you're talking about similarities, the one that I would draw closest to is actually the more recent, the Encanto, Disney's Encanto, which I actually really enjoyed as well.
Yes, except for the fact that there was really nothing that happens. But okay, sure.
What do you mean there was... Okay, we're not reviewing Encanto. I love all the music in Encanto. I'm a musical guy, so I did like that. Probably more than you.
Sure.
We can maybe talk about that another time.
Yeah.
Okay, what else did I like about the movie? The animation I thought was... The style was very cute. The animation all was very smooth. I really liked how they captured... When all the aunties and the mother and the grandmother all changed into their panda forms, we're deep into spoilers, that they each still looked very distinct. That the mother especially somehow still looked like a 40-year-old, Chinese woman,
it was like a Power Rangers moment, right?
Yeah.
I think the jokes and the humor landed.
Yes.
I laughed out loud at one or two times, and normally that doesn't happen. So I liked it. I liked the fact that the story was not trying to be more than it needed to be.
Yeah.
It was basically a simple story about a girl who's coming of age, and she lives in Toronto.
Yeah, and understanding how to, relate and work with her parents in terms of like their expectations and her expectations of herself. And
there's no world-ending problem that she had to solve, right?
Yes.
Like there wasn't like sometimes these movies tend to do that where it just goes beyond what it needs to go.
Yeah.
Right? So I like the fact there was a little contained story.
I agree. I really like how each character arc was very believable. Obviously, her as the main character, Mei Ling, I think, or Mei Li. I don't know.
They call her Mei a lot, which means little sister, right?
Yeah, it means little sister. Yeah, but even aside from her, the mother I thought had a really good arc. Smaller. Again, these are meant to be kind of supporting roles, but even those, I think they spent good enough times developing that. The grandmother, lots of character, and just when she's first even shown, the very stylized way to show her, her perfect plucking the eyebrow, everything has to be perfect, and especially growing up, I think in an Asian household, maybe that stereotype may or may not ring true to you in terms of that parents demand kind of perfection and that kind of stuff. I think the more generalized message is that parents have expectations of their children, and how that's communicated and how that's sometimes non-verbally communicated and the impact that has on the children growing up. I think that's what this movie is about. So you don't have to be Asian, you don't have to be a Chinese Canadian to get it. I think there's a very universal message there about kind of growing up and coming of age.
Right. At the same time, and I don't mean this as necessarily negative, but maybe we need to discuss: is it some of the stereotypes, are they accurate, or did it lean into a little bit too much of what most people think of an Asian family?
Right. Okay. Well, let's get into that. What did you not like about the movie?
Again, I don't think necessarily this is a criticism, but they lean quite heavily on some of the stereotypes, which is the tiger mom, which is the controlling grandmother, the passive father. Asian people eat dumplings.
We do eat dumplings.
I love dumplings.
I had dumplings yesterday.
Same with me, actually. I had it this morning. They run a temple. They worship their ancestors.
Right. Yes.
A little bit of that. I mean, again, it is what it is. But, I don't know whether you thought it was a good idea or a bad idea. I mean, that is the
I think there's... it's tough, right? Because I think some of these movies it's also an opportunity to showcase that culture kind of on a bigger scale, on a bigger platform, bigger stage there, right? So, I mean, like when I watch Encanto, I don't think, Colombian people are eating empanadas every day, but I now know how to, like, I've since learned how to make an empanada and looked up recipes and kind of learning those things. And so I see what you're saying, that, it's playing into a lot of those stereotypes, and maybe especially with Chinese stereotypes.
Maybe you could say it this way. It's a take on the first generation immigration experience. It's more relatable to someone our age who grew up in that kind of environment where there were those kind of things versus today how we relate to our children.
Do they talk about, are they immigrants?
Well, that's a good point, but it's...
Because, the grandmother said she's coming, and she came with the aunts, and that took a while. Did they fly over from somewhere, or were they just... But they also spoke perfect English, and... not perfect English, but...
I don't know. I guess, you're right. That could be a creative choice, whether they put a thick accent on these characters, right? They casted Sandra Oh, he was an American or Canadian Chinese, right?
Yes, she's Canadian.
Canadian Chinese,
yeah.
right? So that's great, but that might have been a creative choice just because then it's more understandable. They cast, is it Michelle Yao?
It's not, actually. We thought it was, too. When me and my wife were watching, we were like... And then when I looked at the credits, I was like, she's not there. And I actually looked it up, and it's not. It's some other actress who did a very good job, but I don't remember her name.
But it sounds like she's a Malaysian-Canadian, Malaysian-Chinese accent.
Right.
So, I don't know. I mean, that could be a creative choice. Again, not a big, game changer for me, but I kind of treat it like different generations see the world differently. Right? And the character in this movie, she's born in Canada, and she's hanging out multicultural, environment, and it's just different. And then the parents want certain things of her, including grades and to run the temple and all these things. And she just doesn't see herself that way. She wants to, follow a boy band. Is it called O-Town?
Four Town.
I like that joke where they're like, four is bad. Yeah. Right? So, I mean, there's a lot of little things that I think I really appreciated the director for putting in.
Yeah. Again, her Multicultural Friends is another good example of kind of highlighting the multiculturalism that's in Toronto, I think, right?
Yeah, and she got praised also for including kids with diabetes. There was a little patch on a few of the kids, and I think there was other kind of representation. So, I mean, I thought it was pretty good. I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, not too much to kind of complain about or to really kind of nitpick at even.
No, I mean, it's sort of I need another watch, though. I need to kind of watch it again, get all the Easter eggs, and also kind of...
When they first called it the Sky Dome, I thought it was to avoid...
paying Rogers?
Paying Rogers. But at the end, we did see that it did say that it's a licensed trademark, and it's with permission with Rogers or something like that. So
you know what? To me, it's always a Sky Dome. It's a Sky Dome, man. This Rogers Center's nonsense.
No, it's Sky Dome.
It's Sky Dome. Yeah. They should have just called it Rogers Sky Dome, if anything. But it's a Sky Dome, guys. Yeah. Okay?
All right, that's off topic.
Fine.
We'll have another one where we review Toronto stadiums. So that's Turning Red. What's your final score on Pixar's Turning Red, homie?
I'd give it a solid A.
An A. I don't know if there's as much rewatchability as kind of some of the best Pixar for me.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I'm not sure I could give it a full A.
Maybe it's an A for the modern Pixar. But if you compare it to Toy Story, Monsters Inc., Finding
kind of
Nemo...
Stuff.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
But compared to, I would say, when Pixar made...
The past 10 years.
Yeah, it's probably an A for me. You could say an A minus if you're going to go that way. Yeah.
I'm going to say an A minus. Yeah, just for that. Just to be... I think I'm always half a grade below you for the past couple.
That's because you're cynical now. You used to be always a grade above me.
A plus everything.
And you become a cynic and a grumpy old man.
Well, let's see how it evolves over time. But that's our review of Turning Red. Thanks for watching. Until next episode, keep watching things.
And subscribe because we have nobody.
Your daughter just subscribed.